I was just listening to the latest video from a British expat in the Philippines while I was driving to work. And he made some good points. He was talking about how people, move to the Philippines and just, use the time to complain about everything, all the problems. The power goes out, things like that. Just have to kind of adapt and deal with it, Talks about, if maybe you have to get a candle or whatever and, just deal with things instead of sitting around complaining. He makes a very good point because obviously if you're going to move to the Philippines and then just complain about the way things are there, it really doesn't make much sense, If you can't handle the way things are there, it doesn't make much sense to move there. But apparently, I don't know, it's for some people, I think it's just they felt like that's where they had to go, whether they were doing it for financial reasons and now they're kind of stuck there. It's like they can't leave, but they don't like the way it is there, so they're just stuck there complaining about it. It's kind of like somebody having a job they don't like, and they can't leave. They're stuck there because they can't go find another job somewhere else to make the same amount of money. I work with people like that at the post office, They're bitching all the time about the post office, but they're still here, So there must be some reason why they haven't left yet. Apparently they don't have the incredible vast array of skills to go off and master brain surgery or something somewhere else where they can make more money in an environment that they would like better, And it's the same way a lot of times with people in the Philippines. They go there and they've sunk their nest egg into the place. Maybe they had some savings and they went over there and got a little place together and they've just got enough money coming in every month to just scrape by. It's not like they have a whole bunch of money stored up where they can go and say, well, screw this, I'm out of here. Go pack a bag and head over to the airport in Manila or somewhere and hop on a plane and come back to America or wherever, So they're stuck there and nothing else to do but complain about shit. But it kind of reminded me when he was talking about some of this stuff. It's like my childhood when I was growing up. We lived out in the country in Pennsylvania, surrounded by dairy farms, All my dad's side of the family were dairy farmers, and the road that we grew up on, actually, we didn't even have a road there, I guess, before my dad went out there and started building houses and stuff. Basically, he would build a house, live in it for a little bit, I guess, as he was building it, and then sell it, start building something else. It was land that belonged to a couple of his brothers, and so that's how there actually ended up being a road there. Before he went out there, I don't know if that was like in the 50s or something. I was born in 63, so sometime in the 50s, maybe, he was out there and they'd build a house and move on up to something else. I think my mom probably wasn't the best life she ever dreamed of, every time they had a house going that she liked and start getting things fixed up. We're going to sell it and start building something else, But it was a dirt and gravel road. We used to get sick of trying to tell Sears, order stuff out of the Sears catalog and trying to tell them how to find our place. And it'd be, you come out of Washington, Pennsylvania there, head out the road, and then you turn by the great big red barn, and then you go out that road, Brush Run Road, and tell them like how many miles it is from one point to another. And there you turn right, you'll see a road that goes up over the hill. And my dad worked a lot of different things, used to do like blacktop paving and stuff, and worked for a street department in Washington, Pennsylvania, stuff like that. But one time, finally, they were doing some work and they had some leftover street signs that they had taken down somewhere. And so he brought one of those home and put it in at the end of the road, down at the end of the road where we lived. And then we became Ridge Road, So up until then, there wasn't even a name on the road or anything like that. It was just a dirt and gravel road, narrow place going up over the hill. And it was a lot of fun out there in the wintertime. I can tell you, whenever it was like really snowy and stuff, and you come in and you try to get a good run going up that hill and see if you can make it up to the top without sliding off the road into the ditch or something. And there were a lot of times, too much snow and everything, you couldn't make it up over the hill, and you had to back down, come out, go all the way around, like I don't know how many miles, 5, 6, 7, 8 miles probably, come in from the other end of the road where it was like more you're kind of going flat or downhill a little, and big giant snow drifts up along the road. But there were times we would get snowed in out there, and the roads all drifted in, and the only way we got out of there is, eventually, like maybe the National Guard would come out with their big giant plows and plow out the road. And the road, the stuff would just be stacked up along the side of the road all winter long. This is back before global warming, I guess. But there were times that we would be without power for, a week or two. But we spent the fall, all summer long, we spent working in the gardens and canning food. Had a, cellar downstairs, and, canning food, had the steamer going all, that was our childhood activities, sitting around cracking green beans and husking corn and all this stuff. And made our own tomato sauce and everything. A lot of times we'd go in with another family that lived in town maybe, and, slaughter a cow, and we'd each take half of it, had meat, grind our own meat for hamburger and stuff like that. Used to get milk. Everybody talks about raw milk. We used to get the milk off of our cousin's farm down the road. And to this day, well, not so much anymore, but for a long time, even after we moved away from there, when I would pick up milk to have some, I would shake it up, try and shake the fat up, and get it all mixed up, which you don't have to do anymore with the stuff you buy from the store. But we chopped wood and stuff, had the chainsaw going, had like a sledgehammer and a maul, and like splitting wood, and had a whole bunch of that stacked up against the side of our house that we could burn. We had this big stove downstairs. We could burn wood in it or coal or whatever, We had kerosene lanterns. It was like the old days, the old days from a Western movie or something. And we were self-sufficient, we could go weeks. And that's what we had to do sometimes. You might be snowed in for a couple of weeks sometimes. And we had this really long driveway going up to the front of our house. And that was always my thing. I was like big into shoveling snow, man. Shovel out that heavy snow. Driveway a couple 100 feet long. Used to suck. You get it all shoveled out around where the mailbox was down the end of the road. And then a snowplow would come along and bury it again. Have to go down and shovel out the mailbox again. But, that's, when I go to the Philippines, I think that's kind of why I feel at home when I go to the Philippines. There's a lot of stuff that's very similar. It reminds me of my childhood and the way things are done. Even just the kind of little Coke machines and stuff they have there with the little bottles in it, like we used to get when I was a kid. A lot of stuff. When I went over to the Philippines for the first time, man, it just, in some ways it made me nostalgic for my childhood, So for me, the way they do things there and some of the stuff they have to deal with, for me, it just kind of feels like home, It reminds me of my childhood. But those are some good points. You just have to be able to handle things, It's like we get so used to these modern conveniences and stuff here, though. And instant gratification when you do things. That's the way I am with stuff. Man, I hate when inanimate objects argue with me. I just want them to do what they're supposed to do and do it now, and I don't want to have to screw around with things. Unfortunately, that's not the way things are in a lot of places. It's like if we go back to the days of dial-up internet back in the old days, we're so used now to 5G phones and, high-speed optic fiber internet. But you just have to be adaptable. But the basic point, man, for sure, there's no point in going to another country if you're just going to complain about the way they do shit there. Why are you there, I mean, I really feel like a lot of it, people are just trapped in a situation, so all they have to do is bitch about it. Whether it's being trapped in a marriage they don't like, but they can't do anything about it, so they just bitch about things. trapped in a job they don't like, but they can't afford to quit it or go anywhere else, so they'll just stay there and bitch. So I understand sometimes why people are just bitching about stuff and not leaving, because there's nowhere they can go. But hopefully all of us can try and make sure that we're not like that. No point in going somewhere that you don't like. You're just, the whole point of going somewhere like that for the end of your life or whatever you retire is to try and be happy, And if you're not going to be happy, I don't know. Of course, some people aren't going to be happy no matter where they are. They've spent their whole life not being happy, and why change now,